Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is Friday, September 5th, 2025, and Generation Remigration. I've been saying it wrong. I think I've been saying I can't even say it wrong now. But remigration is how it's supposed to be said. And there are all these videos of kids, German kids, and speaking in English, talking about how they're part of Generation Remigration, and then they give their reasons. And so we're going to look at that. We're going to be looking at the job situation as well, and being impacted by temporary foreign workers. People are going, and also later in the show, we're going to look at going after RFK Jr. So there is a concerted, coordinated effort to oust RFK Jr. because he's unearthing things that they really don't want exposed, and he's doing it in a very public way. And yesterday there were hearings, and he yelled at Elizabeth Warren, and I thought that was he being Robert Kennedy Jr. yelled at Elizabeth Warren, and it was very funny. And there were other interactions which I thought were funny and worth looking at. BRICS news, deepest, darkest China, says Trump. And that's coming a day after Canada said, the people that we want to really trade with, not those evil United States guys, China's the real big trade partner that we want to go after. So, there's a plan here that they're trying to roll out. And it seems interesting, trying to economically isolate the United States, but doesn't that just make them stronger, right? They're just going to make a whole bunch of stuff in the United States and become self-sufficient and tell the rest of the world to, get on it and go away. Pam Bondi's expanding the JTFA to cover the northern border because of fentanyl and trucking, bringing cocaine and, exchanging drugs. And there's a whole big push to crack down on that across the northern border, announced by Pam Bondi. So that's interesting. One person's been charged for shooting guns off the bridge in Bracebridge, and just one? There's a whole bunch of people on that video. Why just one? That seems really weird, right? Don't you think? And so, Sauble Beach is being renamed, and that's interesting too. And Conor McGregor stands for Ireland, and it's very interesting because he is strong in a way that I haven't seen many politicians be strong, and he might just have the fix for Ireland. So let's get to it. First, Ireland, Conor McGregor. This is our invasion series this morning. And Cillian says, a new poll by Irish newspaper The Liberal suggests that Conor McGregor is on course to win Ireland's presidential election in a landslide. Almost 60% of respondents say they plan to vote for him in next month's election. Wow, this would be huge for Ireland. And why is he so popular? Why indeed? Here is Conor McGregor, and we're going to listen to the whole thing. I think this is a masterclass in communicating to your base. I think that what he's doing is notable, and I think that if we had a leader like this, people would flock to that person, but we don't have a leader like this in Canada, unfortunately. And Conor McGregor has done things, not political things, but he's a well-known Irishman. He's done things on the world stage, winning MMA trophies. He's rich. He doesn't need to do this, right? Very similar to other people who have stood up and come into office in a strong way with a strong mandate. Now, a month is an eternity in politics, so things can change, right? Have they been attacking McGregor? Yes, but to the extent that they need to take him down, I don't know. And when are they going to have 100 people on the ballot facing him, right? So I don't know. Here's Conor McGregor. Very, very interesting, inspiring. Here you go.
Good morning, citizens of Ireland. I'm here today outside the office of the Taoiseach an Taoiseach, where we are over 200 days into the formation of current government. In these times, this government has cost us our peace of mind, our security, our hope for the future, and the general well-being of Irish citizens nationwide has decreased dramatically, whereby we have seen the homelessness of Irish children risen to levels unprecedented, proving this government's refusal to abide by and respect our proclamation, and where all children of Ireland are to be cherished. Instead, our children abandoned. This incompetent failure of future generations has been accompanied with an intense influx of mass migration into an already severed system. Our tourism has sharply declined, while danger on our streets has risen. Ireland, as a master of martial combat, a solution-driven man, you will hear me speak on a problem but once, then it is action towards solution. I urge all our citizens to be of the same. Today, Ireland, I am outside these gates of these appointed officials, but as your head of state, you empower me to enter these buildings on your behalf. A president face to face with government officials with only one priority: to ensure that the country our founding fathers gave their life for is strictly adhered to on behalf of its citizens. Ireland, under my tenure, the will of the people will be heard. Ireland, under my tenure, we will return important articles of our Constitution prior, and thus again aligning with Padraig Pearse's proclamation, in that we declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood. Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
There you go. And so if you were Irish and you saw that, and then you saw the competition, and I don't have video of the competition, but I assume the competition is mostly globalist halfwits. I know who I'd support, right? That's powerful stuff. And if we had leadership speaking like that, we would have a situation where people were flocking to that leader. Here is Michael, and he's highlighting this German video, and this is a German girl, and it's all in German, but it's got English subtitles, so I'll read it. Here we go. She says, "I was 4 when they said we could do it, but I can hardly recognize the Germany you tell me about today. Since then, I've been asking myself, what would it be like if you could go to the outdoor pool without fear? What would it be like to listen to the German in pedestrian zones? What would it be like if you didn't have to feel like a foreigner in your own country? How would it be if the news didn't have to report new knife attacks every day? What would it be like if a welcome culture didn't mean that you yourself were worth less?" Oh, sorry, what would it be like if a welcome culture didn't mean that you yourself were worth less? What would it be like if a home wasn't just a word in books? And how would it be if you could ask yourself all this out loud? You said we could do it, but nobody asked us. So we could do it, but should we have done it? Nobody asked the kids who are now experiencing this nightmare. Here is a video called Generation Remigration, not Remigration. Here we go.
Hi, I'm
heard both remigration and remigration. So I've been saying remigration, I think, but I'll change to remigration because I think that sounds better. Here's Libs of TikTok. And so I think that it's interesting watching these young people, because the girl in this video is a younger lady, right? And the people generally in this video are my age or younger, 45 or younger, I'd say, right? And I'm not quite 45, but am I 45? Jeepers. But these kids are making these videos. It's seeming to be a grassroots kind of movement. They've given themselves a name. And so this is a very interesting kind of turn of events. What happens next? You know what I mean? And the citizens now, I think we're going along with it because they've been told diversity is our strength, et cetera, et cetera. And it never occurred to anybody to ask, should we continue to do this? And the kids coming up are saying, wait a second, we don't want to do this. Let's stop. And indeed, other people are joining in. Libs of TikTok says, just in, Dearborn Heights Police Department in Michigan has just revealed America's first police badge to feature Arabic writing in order to reflect and honor the diversity of our community. So the only English on the badge is Dearborn Heights Police, and the rest is all in Arabic. So weird. Steer clear of Dearborn, probably. Homath is here, and he says, white men are almost entirely banned from the job market. This has been happening since the 1960s. We told you when it hit our industries and you insulted us, you will probably just insult me again instead of listening. Lawyer Mom is saying, my company posted a position on LinkedIn for a position that is normally male dominated. There's a new AI feature that sorts top applicants. Mysteriously, 9 of the 14 top applicants are women or minorities. If you reject one, the AI asks you why so they can refine their algorithm. That's sinister. I mean, that's a very sinister thing. Like, oh, why is this one not good? Tell me why. The AI wants to know. I was watching Age of Ultron yesterday, it came out in, when did it come out? Early 20-teens, so like 2011, 12, 13, I think, maybe even 14. But Ultron was the pursuit of AI. They use movies to communicate their next steps, and I think that was used to communicate, like, we're going for AI. And AI is here, just like they use in China to control the 15-minute cities. And I think maybe AI, it might be a euphemism for it's time to pull the trigger on this. Let's lock it down. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like it, but it's an interesting parallel. It's one of those things like when you watch V for Vendetta or Wag the Dog, and you think to yourself, this is based on real events. Because it is. Jobs, this is related to the invasion, and it's an important series. CBC Watcher says an auto parts company that supplies General Motors will be laying off 250 workers. General Motors is cutting a shift at the Oshawa plant. Are they opening a shift at Michigan plant? Are they opening a shift somewhere back in the United States at Trump's behest? Right? I probably think so, right? I think maybe, and not even Trump's behest, Trump just making it a business-friendly environment for businesses to come into, and they look at the numbers and say, we could take one shift and stop paying Canadian taxes on it, and like, how much would one shift save us? And then, well, that's like a slippery slope, right? You've uncorked the bottle now. Ryan Garrettson says, this is an area of Brampton and Mississauga. Each circle represents an area that has hired temporary foreign workers. When you click on an individual circle, it gives you the amount in one area. That's just that area alone has over 5,000 temporary foreign workers. And so I don't know the link. Like, link to the map. There it is. Haha. That's wild. So there's a map that you can explore. Link is in the description. And wow, pretty wild stuff. Like Mississauga has over 5,000 temporary foreign workers. And that's insane. Those jobs should not generally be going. Our kids shouldn't be competing with adult foreigners for Best Buy jobs or for phone salesman jobs or for grocery store jobs, right? Or for Tim Hortons jobs. That should be kids learning the ropes and figuring out how to, some kids become managers. I was like a closer. I was a closer, so I was an important guy at Taco Bell. They really liked that I was able to stay until 2 a.m. And so it's one of those things where you learn kind of a role, responsibility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It shouldn't be going to foreigners. Why are we doing this? Why is the government subsidizing foreign workers? Because that's exactly what's going on. The government subsidizes these foreign workers, and the employer doesn't have to pay as much, so it's cheap labor for them. And I'll have Mark Miller say that directly in just a minute, the former minister. So that's why they're doing it. You could change the incentive to have them hire Canadian people and like kids and things like that. And you could still get the net savings for the business, but the government's not talking about doing any of that. Nope. But cutting back on the students is having a big impact on Toronto's condo rental market. Financial Dystopia says the Toronto rental market is completely cooked. Yep, it's done. Put a fork in it. Here we go.
Look at this. I cannot believe that. This is the number of units available in just one building, one condo building in Toronto downtown. Imagine the rental situation in whole Toronto downtown or in whole Toronto. Imagine. This is the situation in just one building. I'm telling you guys, the rental situation in Toronto right now is really, really bad. Landlords are struggling to rent.
And they're also not reducing their price. People are saying like landlords are asking $3,400 for a condo, and they're way high, especially when there's so much choice on the market, right? There's a flood of condos on the market. So why would they choose to have the expensive one in the crappy building or whatever building, right? And so the prices are going to have to come down, but that's going to be a problem for the landlords who bought high, right? And so here's Mark Miller saying a lot of the industries are looking for cheap labor. The government could stop the temporary foreign worker program, but keep the job subsidy only for kids, only for Canadian workers, Canadian teenagers, Canadian whatever it is, however you want to limit it. So not temporary foreign workers from other countries are getting the subsidy. And then you can turn the program down over a longer period while you eliminate the temporary foreign workers from the program, right? Like there's a way to do this. But anyway, Mark Miller says businesses want cheap labor, taxpayer subsidized labor. Tim Hortons needs this, he says. Bullshit. Here we go.
Look, there's a lot of conversations with different competing policy priorities. You have industries in low-skilled labor, whether it's big box shops or others looking for cheap labor and wanting to make sure that they maintain a 40-hour work week for some of the students. That's the competing policy with.
So he just said right there.
There's big box shops or others looking for cheap labor. And
big box shops or others like Tim Hortons, Mucho Burrito, all of these little restaurants and things like that looking for cheap labor. That's what they want. That's what they're going for. The government could provide this using the same subsidy they're using on foreigners for Canadians, but they don't. Why not? It's a question. It's a question they should maybe answer. Here's Darshan, and he says, here's a theory. Mark Carney will let the temporary foreign worker mess continue and much larger, but a lot less talked about international mobility program so that the environment is ripe to sell UBI in the next election. Trump tariffs cause job losses will add to the narrative. Mainstream media and academia will play their usual role in marketing whatever the LPC government is selling. Together, the three will make UBI the ballot question in the next election. So removing the jobs from the kids and then offering them UBI. Here's $2,000 a month to sit around and do nothing. Move out of your parents' house into government-approved housing. It's great. It's great. Selling them communism, maybe? Like maybe that's the long-term play? I don't know. Darshan says in a later tweet that he doesn't think that the UBI will ever actually get off the ground. They'll just promise to do it, and then they won't ever do it. Mainstream media and academia will play their usual role in marketing whatever the LPC government is selling. Together, the three will make UBI the ballot question in the next election, and Polyev and the CPC should start preparing an effective response to this, or they will lose again. And so he says that it will be all talk and may very well suffice to win the election. To clarify, he says UBI will not be brought in. The narrative to introduce UBI will be an election ploy. Afterwards, the process can and will be bogged down in interminable consultations. So just unending consultations, forever consultations, which, yep, I think that's accurate. And here's Mel Jolie, and she says, all sorts of investments coming into Canada. We got jobs coming, jobs are coming and stuff. And she's lying, or she's uninformed, or she hasn't told us which people have been investing. Concerned Canadian says, is she delusional or simply not informed? Here she is saying that investment capital is coming into Canada, while statistics reveal over $61 billion has exited Canada. Can someone please inform her? She won't take my calls. The government doesn't take anyone's calls. Here we go.
Major national projects, because we have the C5 legislation that has passed and gives us the power to do that. And so Canadians are focused on seeing what's next. What are the ports? What are the mining projects? What are the energy projects? What are, the AI projects? All the benefits, the jobs that can be created because we're attracting investments from elsewhere in the world, and we're creating jobs in the country. So that's our major focus. Second focus is we need to create new partnerships in the world. The world is being redistributed in economic blocks right now. And that is why for countries that believe in free trade, there's a space. We can work with others. And we will work with Europe. And we will work with our other Asian countries. And that's also super important because it's our way to make sure that we continue to benefit from all the advantages that trade has given us over the last decades.
We can work with others, but just not the United States, not them. We can work with China, and we can work with Europe, and we can work with other Asian countries, and not the United States. So cool. Good Twitter diplomacy, lunatics. Here is Juno News reporting conservative leader Poilievre blasts Prime Minister Carney's defense of the temporary foreign worker program. Your corporate lobbyist friends and your other elites want to stuff their pockets by shutting hardworking Canadians out of jobs and giving those jobs to temporary foreign workers. You're not supposed to be working for corporate lobbyists. You're supposed to be working for Canadian workers. And fundamentally, I think that this might be part and parcel of a way to sell UBI. If everybody's unemployed, if most Canadians are unemployed and they're losing their jobs to these temporary foreign workers and the only thing they can get is UBI, then you'll have a lot of Canadians on UBI and they will start to rely on it very quickly, right? And so, I don't know. It might be a ploy to actually make that happen, right? I'm not going to play Poilievre right now, so we've got to say goodbye to the stream. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to catch the whole show, go head over to CanadaPoly.com. I post the whole show after I finish recording it, so in about an hour.